So today I'm going to talk to you about AI in photography, what I think of it, and the question mark is it your friend or is it your foe? So let's get into it and I'll tell you what I think. AI or artificial intelligence. What is it? What's it all about? Now, the one thing is there's a massive misconception here. What we're talking about, AI, is not actually AI. It's not artificial intelligence. It's what's considered as machine learning. So that's the first thing. So AI is a marketing slogan as of yet. Now, marketing works obviously because here you are watching the video. So, it must work. On a more serious note though, AI is something that is going to change photography forever. Whether you like it or not, it is going to change photography completely. I suppose a bit like the transition from film to digital, this is another huge step and a massive leap forward again. So how is it going to change photography, Kieran, and what are your thoughts on it? Why do I feel as though a video on AI technology from me is important? Well, I don't think it is really. I'm just expressing my thoughts. But I have a slight sort of an inside scoop in this too as well, because I'm an Adobe partner. I work with On1 and Luminar Neon, Skylum and DxO Photo Labs, and I was working with Topaz Labs too as well. So I have a very good idea what's going on, what's coming out, and what's coming in AI technology. So this brings us to 3 questions. The first one being is, does photography matter anymore? Going to get to that in a second. The second is AI technology your friend? The third one then is AI technology actually your enemy? So let's answer the first one first. Let's be logical about this. Does photography really matter anymore? Of course it does. Photography is every bit as important now as it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. Photography is about capturing moments. I don't care about anything else. You can sit down on a computer all you want and create the most amazing AI-generated image. That's not going to give you the same feeling when you look at it. You see, I suppose for me, photography is about capturing moments. It's about capturing those times when you're out on the beach and you're watching the waves whipping past rocks, and that emotion, that movement, that intensity, that feeling, that mood, the vibrancy of the light, all those things. And I cannot sit down at a computer and generate the same image and get the same emotion from it, because I just purely wasn't there. So photography for me is something that's always going to transport me back to that place, to that time, to that feeling, to that emotion. When you're shooting portrait photography, obviously it's going to be every bit as important because you're capturing a moment of a person in a place. And yes, you can create that with AI, but again, of course, when you put that up on the wall, someone's going to look at it and they're going to say, oh my God, that's a lovely... And I think this is something we're going to have to really stress. And this is something it's a slight pet peeve of mine, that someone comes back in the comments, oh, I love that image, Kieran. And I think, that's not an image, that's a photograph. It's not an image, because for me, an image can be anything. An image can be, creative art. It can be digital manipulation. It can be a whole lot of different things. It could be an AI created image. Whereas a photograph is always going to be a photograph, because a photograph is a moment in time. So that brings us nicely to point number 2. And is AI technology our friend? And I think this really has to do with your mindset, because yes, of course, it is a massive friend of us photographers. And it's going to bring a whole new tool set to help us create images that were previously impossible to create. Like recently, I was in Iceland. I took a photograph of the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights, at f8. At ISO 12,800. No, and I purposely underexposed it too as well. I have another video on that there, but I did all that because I wanted to push this and to see how far I could push it. And the noise in that image was something ridiculous altogether, as you can imagine, because I had to boost the shadows and boost the overall exposure. So it just looked incredibly noisy. It was a jumbled mess of noise, really. Pop that into denoising in Lightroom and it just corrected it. And no, it's not perfect, but that was shot at f8 one singular image, or one singular photograph, not image, Kieran, one singular photograph, and it just came out beautifully. And no, it's not absolutely perfect, but where's this going to be in a couple of years' time? And f8 was an overly dramatic, unnecessary aperture to shoot at. I could have shot that at f5.6, which would have meant it wouldn't have been one stop overexposed, so it would have been cleaner. So, you can see where I'm going with this. Photographs that were previously impossible to even think about a couple of years ago are now entirely possible. Because yes, you can exposure blend, you can take one photograph for your foreground, one photograph then for the night sky and whatnot. But is that really a photograph? It's two images. And it's images. And that's what I'm getting back to it again. Images, images, images. The ability to be able to sharpen things too as well. Face recovery, all those sorts of things for photo restoration. This technology, if you look at it the wrong way, it's going to be a problem to you. But if you look at it the right way, this is an extra set of tools which us photographers can use. God, my mat is completely sideways. Us photographers can use to create images we couldn't previously create before. So yes, AI technology is definitely my friend and something I am incredibly grateful for. You see, my previous job was in the technology sector, and one thing I was always told, and one thing I always understood from technology is, if you're not learning and if you're not moving forward, you mightn't actually realize it, but staying the same is actually going behind. So you are going to be left behind if you don't go with this. It's all about positive mental attitude, getting your head around it and working with it. So is AI technology your foe? Is it your mortal enemy when it comes to photography? And I suppose it depends on what genre of photography you're shooting in, your style of photography, how good a photographer you are, and if you're doing this professionally or if you're doing this as a hobby. If you're doing this as a hobby, it's going to make no difference in the wide earthly world to you. The only difference it's going to make is the way you perceive your own work. But if you're doing this professionally, this could be a problem. Just being brutally honest, because you're going to come to a stage of where headshots are going to be no longer needed. You're coming to a stage of landscape photography is going to be a thing of the past, because people literally be able to sit down at some AI image generating software and type in, oh, I want a photograph of the cliffs of Moher at sunset. Bang! They pay maybe €2 for the AI generated image, and boom, there it is. They print it off for 10, 15 euros and hang it up on their wall. They're delighted. Now, who then is going to go out and pay a professional photographer to go out and take a photograph like that? It's not going to happen. It's as simple as that. So there'll be a few people who will do it because there'll be collectible items and whatnot, but it is going to limit that work even more again. So you're going to have increased competition from AI in landscape photography. You're going to have amazing images, and you're going to have a situation where everyone can generate these photographs themselves, or these images, not photographs, generate these images themselves. And then we're looking at things like stock photography. Stock photography is probably going to be finished because, again, you will say, oh, I'm working for a company and I need to photograph a Giant's Causeway above in Ireland. So what I want Giant's Causeway with some nice waves, the sun setting over the corner, and I want a person walking across the rocks. Type all that into your AI image generator in the prompts, click bang, and boom, there you go. There's your image. Now you might pay 30 or 40 cents for that privilege, but there's your photograph. And it's exactly what you want. And it might give you 5 or 6 different options. And you can say, oh, look, what I want is, I want the person standing off to the right because I want to put a bit of text in here. And obviously the text is more important. So the text is going to come in here. Come visit Northern Ireland, or, look at Kieran Hayes photography. It's amazing. See what I did there? The point in all this is, there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be the ways to solve problems. And AI is going to both solve problems and create problems. But I believe a lot of this is the way you look at it. So is it a problem for me personally? God, no. I don't think so. Because I believe there'll always be a way for me to make a living from photography. So I hope anyway. So in the end of the day, AI technology is a massive step forward for me personally. I am looking forward to seeing what is coming out. But more importantly, and the most important thing for me is, I believe we're going to have to differentiate between photographs and images. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I think that is going to be incredibly important going forward. I would love to know what your thoughts are on this. Do you see AI technology as a friend, or do you see it as a foe? If you let me know in the comments down below, I'm really interested in hearing what you think as a fellow photographer. This was completely unscripted. Just sat down, I'm just giving you my thoughts. I've only ever actually done one video that was scripted, and it's the video I like least out of all of them. Apologies about the long-winded video. There was 3 questions, Kieran. You just had to answer 3 questions. How did you make this video 10 minutes long? It's a knack. And it's the West Cork person in me, it's the Irish person in me that just keeps talking. Even though I'm just lengthening the video by explaining this to you. But I'm sorry, apologise for wasting your time. Anyway, look, thanks a million for watching. Please do let me know what you think, and see you in the next video, and see you out there, guys.